Okay.
Greetings. This is Eva Doyle, educator, historian, and columnist for the Criterion newspaper, the oldest black newspaper in Western New York, which is 95 years old, published by the Merriweather family. I would like to give greetings to Bill Peoples and Umoja Inc. and all of those who are listening to this presentation today. I want to thank Mr. Seamus Galvin for inviting me again. He's invited me many times here at the Freedom Wall on the corner of Michigan and East Ferry. The program for Umoja this year is the state of the black family. And I never imagined that I would be coming back here to the Freedom Wall, sitting in front of my portrait wearing a mask. If someone had said that to me a couple years ago when the Freedom Wall was introduced, I probably would not have believed them. I truly miss being in the presence of my friends and supporters of the Umoja programs and other community programs. This is a day like no other that we have experienced in our city, state, and nation. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and at the same time, as African Americans, we have witnessed another murder of a black man by a police officer. The death of George Floyd in Minneapolis by what I consider to be a rogue police officer, pressing his knee on the neck of George Floyd for more than 8 minutes, thereabouts. Amid the passionate pleas and words of George Floyd saying, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe," was heard all over the nation and the world. But speaking today, which the topic is the black family, the state of the black family, time after time, families in the African American community have experienced family members, especially black males, being killed by the police. And it has caused so much pain and so much suffering and so much grief to these families. And it has touched us all very, very deeply. I have only a few minutes to address this particular topic, but it really, honestly, would take 5 or 6 hours to talk about this injustice. While our families are dealing with police abuse, and even right here in Buffalo, and there's an article in the paper today, June 1st, citing the cases of police brutality against blacks in the city of Buffalo. But even in the middle of a pandemic, we are continuing to see police brutality. And people are still suffering. People are still sick. And people are still dying from this virus. Many of us know family and friends, myself included, who have passed away due to COVID-19. With all of the issues that we have had to deal with as a community, police brutality, COVID-19, suffering in greater numbers due to the health disparities in the black community. Still dealing with educational disparities, Frances Cress Welsing called racism a mental disorder. And I do agree with her. With all of this, it is a miracle that blacks are still here, that they are still surviving. I want us to consider several things. And as I'm sitting here in front of this freedom wall, which notes 28 African American civil rights leaders, everybody in their own right has made a difference. Everyone on this wall has made a difference in our history and in Buffalo's history. Since our youth, and if you see all of the demonstrations and the protests and the riots, you see a lot of young people, both black and white. In some cases, more white than black. But since our youth are rising up in the face of this ongoing police brutality, we must make a real effort to teach them the history of the civil rights movement. We must reach out to our young people because I believe they're crying out. They're crying out for something. And I think we have sort of missed the boat. We have missed the boat because we have not had time that is for our young people. I was recently listening to a tape by the late Kwame Ture, otherwise known as Stokely Carmichael. He's one of the people featured around this wall here. And Stokely Carmichael, or Kwame Ture, said the following. He said, mobilization without organization will not take us where we need to go. It will only take us so far. In other words, we must organize and we must plan to come up with different approaches to the problems that we face. Mobilization without organization, we need to remember that. Because I see the young people out and I see them protesting in the rally, and I don't certainly adhere to looting and stealing. But there are a lot of young people and some older people who are demonstrating peacefully. Right here in Buffalo, we had some people doing it peacefully. So we have to organize and plan to change the fundamental racist policies that we have seen in the United States of America, especially when it comes to policing our community. We must encourage the good police officers, and we have a number of good police officers I know personally, and I'm sure people in the audience know personally, that we have good police officers who are doing their job. But we do have those rogue officers. We have to weed them out because they are killing people. And I really rather say murder. They are murdering people. In many cases, after these men are handcuffed and on the ground, they murder them. So I know this is going to be hard for a lot of them. I can't help but think to myself that while that George Floyd was being held down and he was handcuffed, and while the officer was pressing his knee against his neck, I was looking at the officers who were standing nearby. And I can't help but say to myself, if at least one of them had intervened or said something, then perhaps we will not have seen all of these protests and riots and lootings and all of these things. I don't think maybe they would have happened to a degree, but I don't think that we would have seen them to the extent that we did this. And it really hurt me and it disappointed me. And he was talking about Carriel Horn. He said, well, the reason that Carriel didn't win her case, she went to court, she went to different courts trying to get her case heard. And we have to remember that she had 20 years in the police force and she was only a few months from getting her pension. A single mother of 5 children, struggling the best that she could. But this person said, well, she did not win because she did not follow procedure. Well, I would like to say this to that person, or whoever thinks that. All of the people on this freedom walk, from Stokely Carmichael to Malcolm X, to Angela Davis, to Fannie Lou Hamer, to all of the people who are here displayed today, myself included, Eva M. Doyle, we did not accomplish what we accomplished by following procedure. I never will forget, I taught in the Buffalo schools for over 30 years. And I was dismayed that our students were not learning African American history. And the history that they were taught was not correct history. So I fought that system. I spoke up many, many times at the Buffalo Board of Education. So one day, my brother-in-law asked me a question. He called me up on the phone. And he said, aren't you afraid you're going to be fighting? I was surprised by that question because I told him, I said, you know what? I never let fear enter into my mind. Because what I was doing was the right thing to do. And because of what I did more than 30 years ago in fighting the system, today in 2020, our students are beginning to learn more. It's not perfect. There's still a long way to go. But at least the door was open so others could walk in. I didn't follow procedures. But I go back to organization. Organization and patience, communication with people, and there were a whole lot of folks when I first started to do this teaching of Black history in the school system, and I'm going to tell you, there were a lot of folks who were not on board with that. But I just kept plugging away, I kept talking to people, I kept giving them examples, and eventually people saw that it was the right thing to do. As I said before, there still is a lot of work to do. You know, often we hear in the media that Black families are dysfunctional, but you know what? I maintain that we still have strong Black families. I can name them, hundreds of them, personally, right here in Buffalo. My family in Niagara Falls, where I was born. My family in Alabama, where my mother and father came from. Blacks, with all the pressure, with all the racism, with all of the things that they have to face, are still holding on to family. And if it wasn't for the family, they would not have survived, going all the way back to enslavement to the modern time. But we feel the weight of all of this inequality. We feel the weight of injustice. And as I sit in front of this freedom wall, I recognize all of these people who did not follow procedure, but they accomplished a great deal. Our journalists, Elnisa of the Challenger, Mr. Frank Merriweather, not far from me, of the Criterion newspaper. That paper was started in the 1920s and is still relevant today. And I will never forget what Elnisa Banks, who was right over here, said and put on the masthead of the Challenger. We wish to plead our own cause because too often others have spoken for us. And many people may not know this, but in 1827, we had dozens of black newspapers way before the Civil War was ever fought. So this wall is so important to the history of Buffalo. It's so important to the nation. And while our children are not in school, while our families are home, take some time. Bring your young people, if they have not come to this wall, bring your young people here. Have them do reports. Have them read all the bios, because the bios are here. And I wish I could add one more portrait on this Freedom Wall, and that would be the portrait of Harriel Horn. And regardless of what the officials say, and try to trash her memory and trash her legacy, she is a hero to the grassroots community in the city of Buffalo, New York. And we thank her. In the African language of Swahili, Asante Sana, Sister Carrie On, for saving the life of Mr. Neil Mag Sr. Thank you so much for listening. This is Eva M. Doyle. Keep your eye on history.